Hello and welcome to an explainer video on the national minimum wage. My name is Ola McGhee and I am a solicitor with Palmer's in the employment team. So national minimum wage, generally everybody who provides a personal service is entitled to be paid at least the national minimum wage. This includes employees and workers, including agency workers. The national minimum wage is a base salary created by the National Minimum Wage Act 1998, and it sets out the minimum amount of hourly pay that workers are entitled to. The rates change on a yearly basis each April, and from the 1st of April 2021, the rates are £8.91 an hour for 23 years old and over, £8.36 an hour for the age bracket of 21 to 22 years old, £6.56 per hour for 18 to 20-year-olds, £4.62 per hour for under 18-year-olds, but above compulsory school leaving age, and £4.30 for apprentices under 19 or those workers 19 or over who are in the first year of their apprenticeship. As I said, the rates change each April. In terms of qualification, anyone who's employed as an employee or worker must get the national minimum wage or national living wage. This is whether they are working full-time, part-time, conducting essential training for their job, or working in a small startup. It also applies to agency workers, agricultural workers, apprentices, casual labourers, for example, at hire for just a day, casual workers, employees during their probationary period, foreign workers, home workers, offshore workers, seafarers, workers paid by commission, workers paid by the number of items they make, such as piecework, and 0 hours workers. The only types of work that aren't covered are those who are self-employed by choice, a volunteer by choice, a company director, those in the armed forces, those doing work experience as part of a course, work shadowing, or those under school leaving age. With regard to the national living wage, this came into force on the 1st of April 2021, and it applies to workers aged 23 and over. It is a premium added onto the national minimum wage. The difference between the national minimum wage and the national living wage is ultimately the age at which employees receive it. The national minimum wage starts as a base pay for workers before the age of 18, gradually increasing until they reach the age of 23. From the age of 23, employees receive a final pay boost and begin earning the national living wage. However, from this point, there was no further statutory wage increase. It is a legal requirement to pay employees the national minimum wage in the UK. As an employer, you're more than welcome to offer a wage far beyond the national minimum wage or national living wage. And in some cases, it may be necessary to do this in order to recruit top talent. Compliance with the national minimum wage is assessed by reference to a worker's hourly rate, which is calculated by dividing the total remuneration in the relevant pay period by the total number of hours worked or deemed to have been worked over this period. It sounds complicated, and the calculation will depend on the type of worker. It's then compared with the applicable national minimum wage rate for the worker. The following information will be required to carry out this calculation. 1, the pay reference period, usually a month, or if the worker is paid by reference to a period that's shorter than a month, that period, such as a week. Or, if the worker's paid daily, they would have a pay reference period of a day. 2, you'll need to know what the total gross pay is. 3, any payments or deductions that reduce pay for national minimum wage purposes. And finally, number 4, working time. This is working time that should be counted towards the pay reference period, which involves establishing what type of work the worker does and identifying the hours that will count for each relevant type of work. Salaried employees who work long hours, for salaried employees working long hours, it's possible that workers receiving a low salary whilst having to work work a large number of hours in the same pay period will be paid less than the national minimum wage on an hourly basis. For example, if a worker is paid £14,000 per annum and works 43 hours a week, then they will have received the national minimum wage based on the current rates. However, if they are paid monthly and there is 1 month where they work 45 hours or more per week, then their hourly rate of pay will fall below the national minimum wage and they would be underpaid for that month. On-call time. Complications can arise where a worker who is on call. Generally, workers are entitled to be paid for all time when they are at or near work and where they're required to be available to work. But this will often exclude time spent at home, and it always excludes time spent sleeping. Cases of this nature are often a grey area, and specialist advice should be sought. Training and travelling is also another area that would need to be looked into in terms of compliance, because time spent training and time spent travelling for work purposes will attract the national minimum wage. That is excluding travel between home and work, of course. Another area to look at in terms of compliance will be output work. Some employers pay their workers based on their output, that is their production. These cases are complicated and specialist advice should be sought in the event that you are dealing with this kind of employment. And that's it for now. Thanks very much for listening.